To the podcast, hablemos de lo nuevo. For the G's, by the G's, que pasa en el terreno. Vienen jugadores y se van, traiga lo nuevo, a huevo. Doesn't matter where you from, Salvador, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. Todo mi latino, come and listen for an hour. TikTok, que traemos lo que quiere. Todo lo que pasa dentro y fuera de las redes. Really? You don't know what it is. Reportamos con la lupa what we see at the digs. En las buenas y en las malas yo diré la verdad. Si cometen un error o tienen habilidad, la calidad del rival cuando viene a jugar. Facts. Yo no me muerdo la lengua. Got love for the crest in the city I came from. Los campeones de campeones y con copas mi race. No empezamos, empurgamos. Soy la voz de LA One. Soy la voz de LA One. Love. Yeah.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast made with love for all you LA Galaxy fans, wherever you may be out there in the world, and for all you Lacuna Galaxians. Today, we're going to be reacting to the LA Galaxy's disappointing 4-2 away loss to the Portland Timbers on Wednesday, September 18th, a result which saw their Western rivals close the gap between the leaders and themselves. Thank you so much for hanging out with us once again on another episode. Before we get into it all, I want to introduce myself. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Jalon. You can find my written work at Extra Time Talk, and you can always find me online at El Escudero de LA. And man, before we get into like the crux and the meat and bones of everything, and even before I bring you my co-host, I want to say thank you to all you guys out there for helping us get to 300 subs. I mean, we always say it, like we love the fact that we have such a close-knit, dedicated community, and thank you so much for rocking with us. We love you for it. You know, I also want to call to you guys' attention, Ananda and El Profe Alex RUIZ, friend of the show. They did drop the latest Los Gatacticos. That's lessons learned from El Trafico. So that was dropped just a couple days after that El Trafico. So go ahead and get into that one so you guys can learn all about the tactics we could be seeing from the Galaxy heading into the playoffs. And of course, if you're hanging out with us for the very first time, go ahead and let us know what city you're repping from. You know, myself, Glendale, and my co-host that I'm bringing to you just now is repping from Ontario. And back with you once again, El Gitano Perdido y El Yerno Guapo. Ananda Kirana, ¿cómo estás pasando? How you doing after that entertaining loss, shall I say?
Yeah, not a pleasant evening, right, last night. But clearly they didn't watch our video, Robert, because they didn't learn any lessons from LAFC. It looks like, especially on the road, man. But that was a tough watch. But it was funny, as we'll talk later. I still felt like we were in that game as many goals as we were down. I felt like we were knocking on the doorstep. It just wasn't to be, right? But
no tuvieron la suerte del campeón.
Well, in this occasion, no, but time will tell, right? Let's see. Vamos a ver. But no, man, it's funny because I always think about these one-word match reactions, right? But I had my reaction right away, and I even said it to. I had a friend over, and we watched the game together with his son and his daughter, and I said, "Typical Galaxy, typical." And that was my one-word reaction, man. Typical. Like, you know, a typical, at least this year on the road, we're not a horrible road team, but lately we just have not been good on the road. We've lost our last 3 on the road, Robert. So, and then, you know, these, like when you have an emotional game like LAFC, typical Galaxy to get the fans' hopes up and then bring us down to reality, right? Like right back down to earth. And
La tóxica.
This has been typical Galaxy performance, sort of, you know, going on the road, especially post these, you know, games, that some nice wins at home, especially against El Trafico and El Trafico against LAFC. typical Galaxy, man. At least for this year's edition of the Galaxy, we haven't seen this team be versions of the past where we would just go on the road and be like, yeah, we're pummeling you today, no matter what, right? This year's version of the team hasn't been the case. So, yeah, man, typical 2024 LA Galaxy. That's my one word.
Huh. My one, I mean, something similar. Like I was gonna say, like unsurprising or something like that. And I even asked Greg about it. You know, pregame. I think it was like last weekend. You know, after emotional wins. You know, like is there a letdown? You know, and you know he said that's where the team needs to basically come out on top. But to look at this game and be like, you know what, this is not a trap game, and it ended up being a trap game. It is what it is, man. They move on. Right. You're back.
Yeah, I think we lost each other there. I don't know what happened. Is my internet out of all of a sudden? But anyways,
everybody's taking L's. The Galaxy, it is what it is. You were laughing about something. Fill me in.
What did? Oh, I said you shot me down with a trap game idea last time. You're like, no, none of that. This is positive vibes.
I wanted to be positive, man. Like
I don't.
It was what it was. But unfortunately, the Bears were who we thought they were.
Yeah. Sorry, Andrew. Yeah, we're back. El Prezi. Prezi's with us. Arquitecto, I did see your comment. Why do we scout Miguel Berry? We will get there. I think there was, I didn't mind starting him, just kind of get to it, but we will get there. And I talked about this, Rob. I talked about the turf. I did talk about it. So anyways, we'll go into,
the level I mean, they don't play well on turf. We already know.
Yeah.
I mean, so since we spoke about El Prezi, thank you so much. Lars representing the house. The Prezi will be with us on the 26th. Also with
breaking
news
to me.
Yeah.
There you go.
Look at us breaking exclusives. So El Prezi will be with us on the 26th with El Primo from Comets, Matthew. So watch out for that, guys. But anyway, get into that housekeeping. We unfortunately got to talk about this loss. The Bears were who we thought they were. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, really quick. Shout out GCam. They need one of those Inca Limpias with a guinea pig like that one in the Gordon Ramsay show.
Yeah, good. Limpia.
Oh man. Oh my gosh. Anyways, guys, so you guys can always follow, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana per the usual, and then you can always find us on all of your favorite social platforms at La Cuna Galaxiana. And of course, if you're here for the first time, welcome to the chat and welcome to our YouTube channel. If you have not yet and you want to give us a shot, you like what you're listening to, and you're like, you know what, these guys are all right, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. That's going to be one of the best ways you're going to support this channel. And of course, as we've been announcing these last couple of shows, there is another way now that you can support this little teeny tiny humble pod. And that is buying us a horchata, or for Robert, that would be a strawberry horchata. That's his favorite. But you guys can go ahead and support the show. Go ahead and go to, there you go. There it is, man. Hey, it's from the latest fun, right? So you guys can go to, it's on the screen there, but for the audio listeners, buymecoffee.com/La Cuna Galaxiana. And of course, guys, we really appreciate it, especially today, man. I think like I probably should have had some. I needed that sugar rush. But because it's gonna be it's sad 2 hours. It's group therapy session. Oh man, horchata's always hit the spot. A little cold today though, so maybe like no ice for me. But anyways, and then Roberto, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. Let's get into the group therapy, man. Sad 2 hours is in mad effect.
Well, let's talk about some happy stuff before we get into sad 2 hours.
All right.
I mean, we're having a celebration on Saturday, and not least because we're going to give it Prezi his first strawberry horchata in his life on Saturday. But it's because AFTRA is doing a collab. Why did I say that all country? AFTRA is doing a collab with the LA Galaxy for Central American Heritage Night on September 21st. versus Vancouver for that home game, man. It's going to go down. Vamos a tener mucho sabor esa noche. A lot of fun. Please get your tickets. If you're not getting them through a supporter group, get them through AFCHA, LAGalaxy.com/AFCHA. Anytime you get a ticket through them, you get a mug, LA Galaxy / Central American Heritage. And then, of course, your donation from that ticket goes to a cost-free youth program, one of the many in Central America. And what's crazy, Ananda, is that like they started these programs so many years ago, and we're actually seeing some of these kids from these programs become professional players in these countries. It's absolutely nuts, like the impact that AFCHA is having.
Really
I mean,
cool.
pupusas with the purpose, man. I mean, they're delicious. You're supporting a good cause. I mean, I don't know what else you need to hear, guys. Help your stomach and help your hermanos and hermanas in Central America. 1-2 Threads has a new drop. They were teasing Al Cien on 9/20, so be one of the first to know about it. Join their 1-2 Threads SMS list. That's their messaging list. So that's going to be in the link in their bio on Instagram. Go ahead and get on there so you know about this new drop. Al Cien. Ananda, I mean, I'm guessing Al Cien means Cienfuegos.
Claro. I mean, that's what I'm guessing. So it should be a good one, man. Should be definitely a good one. Keeping with the theme of Central America heritage, right? Keeping with that theme. So it makes sense.
Did you, I mean, you must have been, or you might have seen it later, but Wifey met Cienfuegos at the last home game.
I was there. And we helped her take the picture. Yeah, I was there. I was sitting with I bumped into Dave from LA's house and Michelle, and yeah, we were all there, and there was a mad line.
Dave, Michelle.
There was a mad line trying to get a picture with him. So yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I've told this story before, but like Cienfuegos was the first Galaxy player I ever met in my life. And this one, when I was a lad myself, I was like 17 or 18, and I was coaching a U10 soccer team. And he came all the way out to Lancaster just to shake these lads' hands and to make an impact on them. And I'll never forget that, man. Hopefully I can find that picture. Mama John had it somewhere laying around the house in Lancaster, but one of these days we'll pick it up. But guys,
hey, I was gonna say real quick. So of course, Arquitectos in the chat. We said it last time, guys, but shout out to the architect, literally, of the theme song of our podcast. So shout out, man. Hope all is well, bro.
Yeah. Thank you to anybody that grooves along to that song. You know who put it out. That's the Arquitecto. Thank you so much, Arquitecto, for being in the chat once again. Let's look at a study. Let's get nerdy on it. And I know you like studies and in stats and data and stuff like that. But the good friend, Fabi Rankel, he put out a tweet or a post, an X, whatever it's called these days, that said, in a study conducted by 4 soccer fans, were asked to list up to 5 teams they care about most, resulting in over 200 teams from around the world. Here in the States, we have a couple of teams in the top 10, the only 2. Inter Miami lands at 8, and your LA Galaxy landing at 9. Hey, that goes a long way towards saying a lot, right? Of course, like I mentioned, Inter Miami is the highest North American team, followed by the Galaxy, and you have a couple of other teams here in the CONCACAF region: Copa America, Atlanta United, LAFC, and Chivas Guadalajara. But your LA Galaxy in the top 10. Man, it seems like just yesterday we were talking about the VCFC being in the top 3, Ananda. They've hit a massive skid. Their last match was an away loss to Portland Timbers 2. Just like their big brothers, they did not come out of Portland with 3 points. They lost 2-1. They did score first in this match, but they conceded 2 goals in 9 minutes after the 75th to lose this one. They are in danger of missing the playoffs after being pretty much above the playoff line all year. So, if you're hoping to follow along, their next match is against St. Louis City at home at the Willie Roll on Sunday, September 29th. That's 2 Sundays from now. So if you're looking to go out and catch some of the LA Galaxy stars of tomorrow, like Tucker, like Ruben Ramos, they're going to be out there. They're going to be playing in that match Sunday, September 29th, again, 2 Sundays from now at 7 p.m. Guys, where does VCFC stand after 26 games played? They are 6th in the standings, 8-10-8 record, 42 points, winless in regulation in the last 3 matches, and dropped to 10th in the MLS Next Pro power rankings. Again, Ananda, they've hit a skid, and it's starting to get a little worrying. I remember when they were 2nd and 3rd in these power rankings, and not only that, but in the standings, and now all the way down to 6th. So anyway, keep watching that race. See if VCFC makes the playoffs, and I'd like to say we have some more happy news before Satfu hours, but it's time, man. It's Satfu hours. We saw the Galaxy give up 2 goals at the beginning of the last game as well. Same thing happens this year. I just want to get your kind of like initial thoughts on what you saw, man, when it was 2-0. Like, what was going through your head? I know you said typical Galaxy, but like, what stage were you at, like in the like acceptance or like the 5 stages of grief here, man? Because I was like hopeful and trying to be like rationalized, like, well, they came back last time, blah blah blah. So where were you at on this?
I mean, as the minutes progressed, I actually wasn't that. It's funny. I was with my wife and with a friend of ours, and I wasn't too. I mean, it was disappointing for sure, but I was actually not too troubled, Robert, because we were creating chances. We had a lot of chances in that for both halves. I mean, we'll see it in the stats because I wanted to see post match if my eyes were deceiving me or if that was the case. And we kept getting chances, right? The only thing that was frustrating was just us, the character, the manner, and how we gave up those goals. But we said it before this match, Robert. Portland is a good team. They have a lot of firepower. They have a lot of athletes on the team that can hurt us, right?
They absolutely do.
And if you're not on point, that's what they do. And the fact of the matter is they were just more clinical than us. So, but at 2-0, just to answer your question, I had hope. I said, let's get a goal before halftime and let's make this a game. All we need is 1 goal to shift in momentum. And I mean, we did get the goal. It just didn't, unfortunately, like continue or proceed in the manner that I thought it would, or at least to get a Galaxy win, right? And we'll talk about a little bit of like the X's and O's of kind of why a little bit later, but that was kind of my overall feeling. So maybe like if you put like a scale of 1 to 5, I was like at a 3.
Okay. Well, if any of you LA Galaxy fans out there did not catch the game, consider yourself blessed, because it did take you through a range of emotions, ranging from these fools again to they got something cooking here, to these fools again, and just them giving you hope just once more and letting you down, Toxica style. But for those of you that missed the match, the LA Galaxy were playing their first of 2 matches in the span of 4 days. And of course, the final scoreline was 4-2. That's on the road against Portland Timbers at Providence Park. Midweek games are always hard. Of course, this one was on the road. The Galaxy went down 2 goals in the first half again for the second match running, and Jonathan Rodriguez opened the scoring by getting on the end of an Evander cross, who we spoke about last pod. To be fair, Phil Neville's been saying that he's the better number 10. And he certainly made a case for himself in this match. Yep. And he would pop up again, not content just by serving the cross. He would have the second for Portland after he ghosted into the box, just in true Ricky fashion, actually getting into the box late and getting a shot away and striking true for the 2-0. And like you said, Ananda, Gabriel Pecci gets the goal literally with like the last kick of halftime, and that man again, Miguel Berry, getting the assist. Second time those two have linked up, and at halftime it's 2-1. The Galaxy got a little bit of hope. Fans are kind of still in there, like, hey, anything is possible. And the Galaxy come out once again in the second half, just like they did against LAFC, on the front foot. But against the run of play, Portland gets the third after the defense makes the mess of the transition and of the clearance, and Evander just basically gets a gift for the 3-1. And again, I said, they give you hope again. Well, the Galaxy get a second goal through Joseph Painso after Gabriel Peggy hits the post. This one went to VAR. They checked it. He was on. Everything was all good. And just when the Galaxy fans were starting to believe again, que mensos que son. Man, they just let up not the Galaxy, but like us for having hope, right? That this was gonna happen, right? Because 4-2 in the blink of an eye. Defense does not deal well with the subs who come on. To be fair to Phil Neville, he gets the subs right, Felipe Mora and Anthony. Not the spinning top from Manchester United, but the one in Portland. Felipe Mora and Anthony, they hook up, and Mora brings it down on his chest one time, and it's 4-2, lights out. As devastating a goal was Evander's just like simple pickup for the third, that it kind of felt like that day on goal for the third against LAFC. It was just like it took the wind out of their sails. They were going for it. They still got to the second goal, but they just weren't clinical, like you said. They weren't finishing. They just, I don't know, were they not into it. But anyway, against Portland now, the Galaxy has a 14-12-9 record. It snapped a 7-game unbeaten run against the Timbers dating back to July 30th, 2021. But you know what? Joseph Painto got that second goal, and it seems like he continues to do well against Portland. He has 2 goals and 3 assists now in 2024 against them. Ananda, let's start where we all start. Let's start with this lineup. What'd you think?
Yeah, let me pull this up right now. Yeah, so I think the lineup was, and I even posted a poll on X the day of, or the morning of, sort of asking to see, because we knew that Cerrillo was going to be suspended, right? So who would fill in that midfield? And I said Delgado, Brugman, or both, and Marco would be on the bench. And I think most of the people thought that Marco would be on the bench, and that was to be. Brugman started at the 6. Delgado started. Actually, they started kind of as a double pivot. They played a double pivot, so Randy kind of reverted back to that, where Mickey Yamane wasn't pitching in anymore. He was running on the outside. And then, of course, Robert, maybe, I don't know, Arquitecto talked about it earlier, but maybe a little bit of surprise. Miguel Berry get to start at the number 9. And I'm going to be fair to him, man. I thought he actually played a pretty decent game. Of course, he had that layoff for the Gabriel Peck goal in the first half. But yeah, man, I thought he actually had a decent game. Now, again, though, I'm going to stick by my sword and kind of say that I think Dejan should be the starter, and I think Miguel should come off the bench. I think that's, I think Dejan as a starter, he's more effective, I think. And Miguel Berry, I think, running at defenses in the last 20 minutes or just putting a body on them, right? Just like, moting his body around. I think that's sort of his best role on this team. But I think a commendable effort. Look, Dejan's just getting back from injury. So to answer Arquitecto's question from earlier, I think he's just getting back from injury. So I think Greg was trying to manage his minutes just a little bit, especially when he just had a game, 4 days ago. So that was kind of my thing. What do you think, man? What do you think about the lineup? Other than Berry, any surprises?
No, to be honest, no. I mean, Berry was the big one, but it wasn't surprising. I mean, you just mentioned it. It was a simple minute management thing, and trying to have Dejan healthy for the stretch run. Sure, you throw him on for 2 straight 90. Well, he didn't go 90 in the Trafico, but you throw him on for 2 games where you're asking him to give like maximum effort. You may burn him out. You have him, right? So unfortunately, they couldn't make it happen with Berry in the start. But yeah, I'm not mad at it. One comment I want to call out here by ER says way off topic, and yes, it is off topic, but I like it. El Trafico 2025 at Dodger Stadium. I am for it. That would be lovely and epic, and man,
that'd be gnarly.
It would be such a good time. Vamos, let's make it happen. I don't know if you got any pull there.
Man, people in the chat are disappointed with Berry starting, Robert. Yeah, I mean, look, I actually don't think he had a bad game. I think he actually had one of his better games. His hold-up play was good. He had a couple 1-2s. I think he, one of them ended up in a goal, right? Those layoffs. I think he's starting to connect really well and starting to do that little sort of Dejan combination at the top of the box. He doesn't do it as well as Dejan. He's not as clinical of a finisher as Dejan. We saw that in his chance in the first half. First 15 minutes, I thought that was a sure goal. just had to go far post, but didn't, couldn't put it in the back of the net. But again, I don't think he played bad, guys. So I would slightly disagree on that one. And like I said, I'd rather have a fit and firing and healthy Dayon and not risk anything going to the playoffs. We need Dayon to start all games in the playoffs.
Yeah, I just want to call out one thing though. Like we always give Greg his flowers for making good adjustments during the game and stuff like that. But I saw an interesting query the other day, or an interesting point that somebody brought up on X, and they said, sure, he's making the adjustments, but why not get it right from the jump? Why is he getting it so consistently wrong? With his starting 11, and yes, he's again making the adjustments, but shouldn't he be getting it right from the very beginning? It's valid to ask, like what is going wrong in maybe preparation or in scouting or something like that they're not starting well. So
Robert, remind me, there's a stat later that I want to point out to that particular point, and I want to debunk that, but remind me to bring up a stat that debunks that point. We'll get to it later.
Well, okay. Well, we'll get into it. But after this loss, the Galaxy in 15 road matches played in 2024, they now hold a 5-6-4 record, a 4-2-0 record dating back to games to July 17th. Joseph Painso, again, we called him out earlier. He's recorded at least 1 goal and 1 assist for the 6th time in the season. He has 8 goal contributions, 3 and 5 in the last 5 league appearances. And, we've already talked about Miguel Berry a lot, but he recorded an assist for the 2nd consecutive match played on the road. And then Ananda, I mean, you said that you wanted to bring up a stat. Now's the time, bro. Now's the time. Bring it up.
Well, now I got to find the stat because it's in our notes somewhere. But so basically, let me look this up. So, okay. So, I mean, we talk about slow starts, right, Robert? Well, there's been 28 possible matches where there has been not a scoreless draw. So, there's been a score one way or the other. We've actually scored first in 16 out of the 28 games, and the opponent has only scored first in the first 12. So there you go. I mean, simple math, bro. Like, we've scored first in 16 out of 28 games this season. So is that a slow start? I don't know. Like, look, the reality is hindsight's always 20/20, and we'll always criticize based off of the result. I mean, it is what it is. That's how football fans are. That's how we are. And when we analyze things, but I think if you look at it over the body of work in a MLS season, I think look, we've criticized when it's fair on this pod, right? But I think just that stat alone, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, well, maybe because I would, if I didn't look at that stat, I'd be like, yeah, I think I would maybe but I think that's recency bias. I think it's because recently we have not started well, and that I can definitely agree with for sure in the last, I would say 4 or 5 games. That
Yeah, I wish I had that like that immediate stat on when I think it's been at least the last 3 games where they've given up the first goal. Yes, that's correct. That's Portland, that's LAFC, that's St. Louis, and then they beat Atlanta before that. But that's the last 3 matches that they've gotten scored on first. The last 2 of them, obviously 2-0 before being able to come back and won. That's 8 goals in the last 3 matches. That's not going to get it done. But I mean, we can talk all you want about the slow start. Yeah, you can talk all you want about the slow start, right? But what do you think the main reason for these slow starts are? Chat, let us know what you think. Is it a mental thing? Is it a preparation thing? Is it a tactical thing? Is Greg getting it wrong? Are the players not executing? Let us know what you think in chat. Ananda did call out that stat. They scored first in 16 of 28 matches. I don't know, Ananda, did you talk about allowing the first goal away from home?
No, I didn't. So again, I want to shout out Josh for these stats because he's always such a great like bookkeeper when it comes to all this. So I did get these stats from sort of his charts, and so I'll just relay the sort of the stat in its
He is the
entirety. So
Podfather for a reason.
exactly, I mean he is the bookkeeper. He has all this amazing data on this
Ooh,
team
wait.
and
I
historical
mean,
data as well.
we have chat sounding off with hard hitting commentary. GCam says Raquinho would have put away all those half chances. Comment says Mr. Chance to sign Raquinho before the window closed. One and only Rocio says 100. Putting up the Raquinho sign. As Raquinho over Barry. I mean, I don't want to be mean to Barry, but Raquinho is kind of hard to beat. But anyway, let us
Yeah.
know what you guys think. I mean, what's the reason for the slow starts, Ananda? What do you think?
Yeah, well, really quick, I'm going to read out this stat in its entirety. So, per Corner of the Galaxy are now 3-6-3 when allowing the first goal. That's 12 out of 28 possible matches the opponent scored first. 2 games were scoreless draws. Again, we played 30 games. And so that means that the opponent actually scored more often first. That's 16 out of 28 games. But away from home, this is what you're talking about, they have allowed the first goal in 8 out of 13 possible matches, allowing the first goal in the last away league matches and last 3. That's Portland, St. Louis, and Dallas. So yeah, there you go, man. It's the road, right? And especially if you're on the road, allowing that first goal, it puts you in a tough spot. I mean, it doesn't, it puts you in a tough spot for the rest of the game, especially the way we like to be on the front foot and like to dominate possession, right? But anyways, man, you ask all the questions all the time. I want to hear your sort of gut, from your eye test. What do you think it is, man? For especially the last 3, like
You asked plenty of questions. Come on.
no. I'm asking you the questions now, Papa. Come on. What do you think?
Okay.
I'll
Get it,
I'll
get
vibe
it.
off. I'll vibe off of you.
That it, Pitbull.
I'll vibe off of you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can you give me the question one more time? Can you restate the question in the form of an answer? Okay.
It is.
Can you
it is
give me
the
the question in Pig Latin?
It is the question that we are putting up on the screen right there. Just what do you think it is? The slow starts. I mean,
Oof.
even at home too against LAFC, right? I don't think we had the best start against Atlanta, to be fair, until Marco Royce came on the pitch, right? So, what do you think?
Oh man, I think I can only answer just kind of beg off, but at the same time answer the way Greg answered, in that this team is impatient. I mean, you saw where I called it out last pod. Everyone blamed Jalen for that first goal, and yes, he got beat 1-on-1, but that was like the 4th sequence in that event, in that goal. I mean, it started off with Ricky trying to play a cross-field pass, and it didn't come off, and LAFC picks it up. So it's Greg saying in the presser, they were impatient. When they get impatient, they don't they aren't predictable for each other, like we've spoken about. Like, they aren't where they need to be for each other. The spacing is off, and when the spacing is off, they can get countered, and the transition defense isn't good. We saw it for the first goal, for Rodriguez getting between Maya and Jalen for the header. I mean, it's just a simple lack of execution by the players. I mean, they know what the game plan is. We've seen the game plan when it works. It's 4 goals and a half. We know what the game plan is supposed to look like, and the fact that they come out and they, for whatever reason, get impatient or rush it or try to kill off the game in the first 20 minutes. Commendable. I like the killer attitude and the killer spirit, but I mean, it's a 90-minute game, and so yeah, it's just them not being patient enough to and I might get killed in the chat for this, but they're just not patient enough to trust the process, and that's why the other teams are taking advantage of it.
Yeah, that's definitely a big reason, and I think, well, I wrote down something sort of right after the game, Rob, and I don't know if this is sort of a larger point, but one thing that I've noticed with this team this year, and it's kind of, it's hitting on the point of our slow starts. It's hitting on the point of our lack of defense in certain moments, right? With our current style of play, I don't know if you or the chat, how you guys feel about this, but I feel like this is how ball dominant we want to be. And you hit the nail on the head with sort of that lingering comment of Greg a couple pressers ago, the burden of possession, right? When you have that much possession, you almost kind of have to be
I love that.
You almost kind of have to be so efficient and inch perfect, right, offensively to win games, especially when you have a leaky defense like ours, and especially when we know that transition defense is our Achilles heel. So if you once you throw elements in there, like for example, heat and humidity, a turf pitch, right, when you're not on your home ground, like that, those variables now come into play, and that eats into our offensive efficiency, right? And so my thing is, like, especially away from home, I don't know about at home, I feel like this can happen at home too, but definitely away, I haven't seen this team develop a pragmatic style to manage games efficiently. So like you said, a part of that is being efficient in your passing, right? And not giving sloppy giveaways, right? That's part of it. But like, I don't know if this team can play pragmatic. Like, I don't know if this team can just like bunker down and wait to hit you on the counter. Like, I don't know. But this is the thing, right? Those top tier teams, man, like Columbus can do that. Vancouver, which is the team we're going to see on Saturday, they can do that. They have sort of the pieces and the formation and the coaching to do that. So that's my big thing is, like, especially in the playoffs now, do we sort of develop, or can we show a pragmatic style play? Because otherwise we're going to have to beat teams in the playoffs 4-3, 5-4, 3-2. And those are like, I don't know, those are like, those kill me, man. Those games, like edge of your seat stuff, right? So I don't know, this team,
those aren't
really
sustainable. Yeah, that's not sustainable.
And that's what I'm saying. At least, again, maybe recency bias, but from what I'm seeing in the last 3, 4, 5 games, like can we develop that skill or gene? I don't know. The question is, I don't know. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if we have the personnel for it. I don't know if Greg has sort of developed this team to be that yet. I don't know. Maybe that's the next progression. That's a question mark for me. So I kind of pointed to that. So I don't know, chat. Go ahead and chew on that and tell me what y'all think. But that's my thing, man. It's just, I don't know. We haven't shown an ability to be pragmatic in certain situations.
No, it's definitely true, and I kind of feel like this team. Greg spoke about this as well earlier in the season. Like everything needs to be just like inch perfect. Like no. We saw it in a passage of play where Michael Royce gets the ball like what, maybe 10 yards away from goal, and he doesn't take the rip for whatever reason, and he tries to square, and you're just asking yourself, like, why would he do that? Like, why
surprising.
Would he not take the shot, being one of the German legends in the Bundesliga, has a lot of quality in his foot, can certainly place that. Why does he play it off? But anyway, I mean, that's just answer to your question. Like, can this team be pragmatic? I mean, if that's any example, then no. I mean, it needs to be a team where everything is like a highlight reel, and I mean, these players are very technical, and like maybe it's like, hey, let's make it as pretty as we can, but at a certain point, win ugly 1-0 versus lose pretty 4-3, so anyway, but we've seen this defense again, give up those 2 goals early, and then eventually give up those 4 goals. The league recognizes, the league talks about it as the Galaxy's Achilles heel, which is the defense, even though we spoke to Marcelo Balboa a couple of shows back. Cello, shout out to you. Thank you again for coming through. And he said, what's wrong with the defense? If you listen to Brian Schmetzer and Albert Rusnak from Seattle, then, the Galaxy don't like to defend. And a lot of teams will say that this is their Achilles heel. It's been spoken about on Apple TV. It's been spoken about on MLS. Colleagues out there speak about it, the defense this, the defense that. But what's the main culprit, Ananda? I mean, where do you point the finger here for the defense and shipping 8 goals in the last 3 games? Is it individual defense? These gentlemen not winning their man-to-man battles? Is it a lack of collective organization? Where's the breakdown, man? Where's the breakdown? What's happening here?
Yeah, chat definitely sound off on this as well, but I think Rob, it's unfortunately a little bit of all of the above, right? There's certain instances where I think individually the defenders could do better. I'm looking at everyone, not just Jalen. I'm looking at Maya. I'm looking at Mickey, right? Especially on the, and Vander put in a sweet ball, but first rule is a fullback. You got to cut out the cross. You got to cut out service. That's the first rule, right? And so that doesn't happen if press up on him and get a little closer to your man. But again, Evander puts in that
Oh
quality ball,
yeah,
and
he had so much time.
and he's quality, right? So I mean, if you're gonna let an MVP candidate do that to you, unfortunately, that's what's gonna happen. A little bit is the sort of the midfield organization, right? There was one play, I believe it was the second Evander goal. His first goal, but the second goal in the game. Gaston gets drawn out to the guy that John Nelson was guarding. I think that was Santi Moreno, and Evander ghosts into the spot that he just vacated. So it's all the above, man. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think we can point it to one thing. I think even Greg said it post match. It's a little bit of all, but I think the one thing is just over. And Cello talked about this a little bit, and he worded it differently. He talked about it in the notion of pride in the context of set piece defending. By the way,
Absolutely.
we almost gave up. We almost gave up another set piece goal. Remember that header, Robert? I think it was Mora. I think it was in the first half. We almost gave up another set piece goal.
That was close.
But anyways, it's not just pride, but it's lack of discipline defensively. And that's both like organizationally, like, when we're all rushing, there's so many moments where we're rushing, we're flooding guys into the box. But the problem is when we don't score off of those chances, we get rushed on the other end, right? So it's a little bit of all. And like I said, Greg really has. I go back to this pragmatic thing. If we're going to, I think, get that silverware, I think we've got to be. Mike talked about it in the chat. It's funny. He talked about this idea of rest defense. Alex talked about it too in our Los Gatacticos. When you give up the ball really easily, Robert, that rest defense, like, it doesn't allow your defense to rest, right? And we don't have athletes. If you look at our score sheet versus the score sheet on the other side, Portland has athletes, bro. Like, we have some athletes, but that's not how this roster is built. So we can't. They said it on the broadcast. This is a track meet. I call it a basketball game. When you go into a basketball game and against Portland, it's not going to come out good for the Galaxy. So yeah, man, just a lot of different reasons. But for this game in particular, like I said, I think it's probably just a little bit of all of the above. I don't know if you feel the same way, but
I want to just call attention to something that you said and Cello said that it's a pride thing, and I feel like it absolutely is a pride thing. It's that we know that we can score a bunch of goals, so we can get ourselves out of that. It needs to be one of these things now where they acknowledge that everyone knows that they can score a bunch of goals. They acknowledge that everyone knows that, hey, this might be your Achilles heel. So now collectively as a group, you take it as a point of pride and as honor and say, we are going to be better defensively. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, Cello talked about it. It's a simple pride thing. They need to step up and, really make it a point of pride to get better there. Edgar Nags, shout out, is in chat. He says, instead of pointing fingers at our defense, we could also give Portland credit for their players. They have some beasts on their attack there. Yeah, absolutely. They definitely have beasts on their attack. Yeah, in our preview, we spoke about all their danger men and how dangerous they are. Evander, Phil Novo calls him the best number 10 in the league. He's certainly making a case for himself. I mean, Santi Moreno's one of the players that we've been speaking about since last year. Scored an incredible goal against the Galaxy last game. I mean, yeah, they have their weapons, that's to be sure. So taking nothing away from those lads there, but definitely, shining the light on the defense and why even with them facing talented offensive players, like what they can do to go ahead and shut those offensive players down, kind of like they did in the second half against LAFC. But yeah, Ananda, I'm just going to point to pride, man. It's got to be a pride thing now and say, hey, we committed to being better defensively at the beginning of the year. Greg spoke about it. They have conceded way less goals this year. But, everybody still is questioning this defense. Whenever you hear about the Galaxy, wonderful offensive team, they lack defensively. So I mean, and I mean, it's not like one of these things where people say it and it's wrong. I mean, it's just the simple fact.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, chats, you guys are making really good points. I like the back and forth. I think there's some really good points made on both sides as well. So yeah, keep going, man. Again, this is why we encourage these debates. I think it's a good place. We want this to be a safe place to have debates and
Oh, of
kind
course.
of, critique the team and praise them when as we see fit, right? So yeah, man, Greg's got a lot to figure out here. I think before Vancouver, like I said, I mean, Vancouver's a darn good team. We'll get into when we get into the preview, but this can happen as well in Vancouver if we're not careful. So hopefully he has a good game plan for him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Another good offensive team, but yeah, we'll get there. Man, Edgar Nags is doing it today in chat. I love you, man. Says we all love Mickey, but he's been off the last 2 games, leaving Jalen. So that's exactly what I talked about in the El Trafico reaction, man. Everybody wanted to blame Jalen, but I mean, Mickey's positioning is off for both those goals, and it causes the counterattack to become that much easier for LAFC.
And great minds think alike, because I was just say he's playing a lot of minutes, man. He needs a break. I think Cuevas needs to step in at some point, and just give him a rest. I agree with Mike. I think he needs a break.
The problem is that there are no easy games left. I mean, there are 4 games left, and they're all to varying degrees of difficulty. I mean, with respect to Austin, I mean that's like the quote unquote easiest game, and they beat the Galaxy last time that they faced each other in Austin. A game that you and I were at. Very happy to get the free room upgrade. Very, very sad. Ooh, yeah, got him, champ.
G-Cam, there you go.
That's a shot for Ananda. Anyway, if there has to be a moment of this match, gotta say that it's JP's goal, because again, it brought us all a little bit of hope that this was going to be another famous Galaxy remontada and they were going to come back. It was not to be, but again, hope is always beautiful. It's also that which kills you. But it was nice to have it for a little bit. Ananda, we are defending the badge candidates. Mike Gray said earlier, nobody played well except for John McCarthy. I'm not going to hold you. There are 4 candidates: Gabriel Pecky, Ricky Puig, Joseph Painsil, and John McCarthy. But honestly, I mean, the people have voted. I'm not even going to, string this one along. Nope, John McCarthy. He's the winner. He was my winner as well. Made some massive saves. It could have been
8 saves, man. 8 saves, and we gave up 4 goals. That just shows you how leaky our defense was, but how good of a game this guy had. So props to John McCarthy for sure.
That's a season high for him. Wonderful match. It just sucks that he had to give up 4 goals. Can't really do much on any of the 4 really. Like I did think for LAFC's second in El Trafico he could have done better. He can't really do anything on these 4. But John McCarthy, who wins your defending the badge for the week, if there has to be a defending the badge. Ananda, something got you, man. You started shaking your head.
No, it's just still annoying, because I think about, I mean, Crepeau, because John McCarthy meets a big, but Crepeau made a couple massive saves. The one on Ricky. This is what I'm saying, man. Like even at 90th minute, I was like, I feel like this still can be a 4-4 game. Like there were chances. Like how many chances did we have in the second half? JP, Decky twice, Ricky even from outside the box. He scored a curler against LAFC. He had 2 curlers outside the box. Gaston with another sort of dipping shot. That, dude, so many chances, bro. It's insane. Like I didn't even pull up the stat sheet on it yet, or the box score, but we had so many shots, man. But I guess less said about that game, the better. I think it was like 24 shots for the Galaxy versus their 22. So again, it was a basketball game, but this is the problem. When you get into a track meet or a basketball game with Portland Timbers, with their athletes, it is not going to go probably the way that we want it to go, because that is a very dangerous team if you want to play that game against these guys.
Ananda, how crazy would a Galaxy Portland first round series be?
Great freaking point. And I
Fireworks,
mean,
right?
they're in the 8th spot, right? Right now, if the playoffs were to start today, we would be, well, we're going to pull up the standings here in a little bit. But if the playoffs started today, LA Galaxy are the number 1 seed and Portland are number 8. So it'd be them or Minnesota at this point. Man, I think, didn't Tom Bogert say something about that too on our show? He's like, man, if this is a LA Portland first round series, what a shootout that's going to be. And yeah, it really is.
It's gonna be a great time. And just like the different styles and just how loud Phil Neville is, and it's gonna be wonderful. Well, anyway, you have the standings up here, so might as well throw them out there. Through 30 matches played in 2024, the Galaxy holds a 16-7-7 record, 59 goals for, 44 against. They're on 55 points in first place in the West, still 5 points ahead of number 2 RSL, who crept into second place over LAFC. The Galaxy, oh, sorry about that. RSL has 1 game in hand over the Galaxy. Number 3 LAFC, Galaxy have a 6-point lead over them. LAFC has 2 games in hand. They lost a little ground in the Supporter Shield race. They dropped to 3rd behind Cincinnati. They're still 8 points behind leaders Inter Miami. They have 1 game in hand. They're actually tied on points with Cincinnati, but through goal difference and all those good things, I believe this one is actually game on hand, which is why they actually have a better record. 2 points on Columbus, who has 2 games in hand. Columbus, it's like that dangerous sneaking shark that's coming after everybody right now. Wilfred Nazi is not playing. Like Bernie Mac said, he ain't scared for damn sure. 1.83 points per game for the Galaxy, and their opponent is dangerous. I mean, it's another very, very high powered offensive team, and one of so high powered or playing so well for their coach or to his liking that he's leaving one of his biggest offensive weapons on the bench right now. Ananda, this man Brian White hasn't even started like the last 4 games.
Yeah, I noticed that. That was crazy. Yeah, researching this match, that was crazy. Yeah.
So anyway, Vancouver, after 28 games played, 6th place, 46 points, 1.64 points per game, 13-8-7 record. Their last match was a 1-1 away draw to Houston. Before that, it was a 2-0 home win over San Jose. 4 shutouts for them in the last 5 games in all competitions. So they can score a goal and they can shut you down defensively. The last match these 2 teams played against each other was a 3-1 home loss in Vancouver. The Galaxy did really, really well to impose themselves on. I believe that one was the one where they scored like 3 goals in 10 minutes and just blitzed Vancouver.
Ricky masterclass. I remember that one.
Yeah, it was good times. I think we saw that one at the York. Shout out for everybody that goes to the York. Vancouver unbeaten in the last 7 road matches. So not only have they been good defensively, 4 shutouts in the last 5 games, but they've been good on the road. So this one is not only going to be against a good team, but a team that plays well on the road and a team that is good defensively. What could go wrong, Ananda? What could go wrong? That's the 36th meeting between the teams. The Galaxy have a 16-12-7 advantage in the head-to-head, and that's a 15-11-7 record in league play. In 17 all-time matches, it's a 10-4-3 record for the Galaxy advantage. Neither team has drawn against each other in the last 3 matches, and in the last 4 matches played at home, the Galaxy have a 2-0-2 record. Ananda, what you got for us on the team news?
Yeah, so from the Galaxy side, Martin Cáceres is still out with his injury, but Julian Alde, per Greg, you asked this question, Rob, in the last presser. It looks like he is going to be available, probably not in a starting role, but he will be available for selection off the bench. So that's a really good sign. I think we've missed him, Rob. I think we talked about Mickey Yamane on the right side. I think we also need to give John Nelson, who's been a warrior, to be honest. He's been super solid in that left back role, but he also needs a break as well. So it'll be nice. Hopefully we can get some minutes off the bench for Julian, hopefully again in a sort of winning capacity, right? And then on the other side, Ali Ahmed and Max Anchor are there. Is their injury report. But and like you said, Brian White's been starting on the bench lately, which is really, really surprising. But that guy Vanni Sartini, he's pretty crazy. It's the Vanni Bowl, right? It's the annual biannual Vanni Bowl. So there you go.
Vanni Sartini is one of my favorite personalities in MLS. He's just so fun. I mean, questionable taste in music because he rocks out to Nickelback. No shade to you out there if you like Nickelback. Just not my cup of tea. But anyway, like he's just so fun, man, and like he's a great interview too.
Yeah.
We have such a fun time whenever we have to speak to him. But anyway, what do you see with this lineup? I mean, we spoke about the rotation and kind of limiting Deion's minutes to kind of get him ready for the stretch run. But what do you think Vanni's going to do with and that's Greg Vanni, not Vanni Sartini. What do you think Greg Vanni's going to do with this lineup here? Do you think Deion's going to go back into that starting role? What do you think the midfield's going to look like? We'll start there.
Yeah, I think I would love to see Deion back in the 9. I think, again, he's better as a starter and Miguel is better off the bench. So I'm going to sort of live and die by that sword. I think you got to put Peck in Paintsel, who, by the way, we didn't talk a lot about JP. I don't think he had the best of games. He had his goal, but that was basically he was right place in the right time. But I don't think other than that, we didn't find him
Should have had two.
We didn't find him. Should have had 2, first of all. But I don't think, especially in that first half, he was pretty ineffective, man. Like we didn't find him. Again, his biggest threat is running downhill a defender or getting sort of making that out to in run and us making that sort of breaking the lines pass through to him on the wing. That's where he's the most dangerous when he's running downhill. When you get him sort of in possession, trying to play tiki-taka, that's not his strength. So we've got to unlock him. I think we've got to find better ways to unlock him because he's a really, really key component to our team if we want to, get far in the playoffs and win MLS Cup. So, and then the midfield, I wonder if RUIZ is going to get back in there now that he's had a little break. I'm not sure exactly how many minutes he played, Rob. I want to say 20 some odd ish minutes he got in Portland. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Of course, Cerrillo is now available back for selection. So I feel like, Rob, given that we're at home, given that we want to be in the front foot, I feel like we're going to go the same midfield trio as we did against LAFC. So that would be Cerrillo, Ricky, and Marco. But yeah, other than that, Julian, we know John Nelson's probably going to start again. And then right back, Mike and I are saying that Yamane might need the rest. So I would not be mad if Mokueba stepped in. I think he's been playing well all year, man. And I think he deserves a shot, even in a big high stakes game like this. I think he can handle it.
We saw Jalen come off for Emilio Garces late in that last match. Do you think that maybe Garces gets a start here?
Yeah, that would be a big call. Maybe he might play 45 and 45, or maybe I don't know. I think we're gonna have to see that one out a little bit. But I want to not retract the statement that I made last time against LAFC, which was I feel like Vanni probably needs to keep playing Jalen to keep building his confidence, right? And again, Garces is kind of just coming. He hasn't gotten consistent minutes. So to put him in a game like this, maybe, but I think Jalen and Mike can handle it. But yeah, that's another interesting call. What do you think, man? You think it's time for him to start?
I wouldn't be mad at them saying.
I wouldn't be mad at it.
But I also wouldn't be mad at them trying out that 3-man center back formation, kind of seeing what that could look like before they get into the playoffs and they have to try it there. But that's just me wishful thinking. But yeah, I mean, two very high profile matches and emotional matches that Jalen just played in, and then having to play in a third, it wouldn't be the worst thing for him to get rest. But also, if he starts, I wouldn't be surprised either.
I mean,
you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he's gonna start it.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing that he could do, which is a little bit of a wild card, but I think not out of the realm of possibility. If Mickey Yamane needs a rest, he might be able to play right back. Because remember, they play with wingbacks, Robert. So you're going to need speed on the outside. John Nelson has that speed on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side, I mean, you saw when Garces came into that game, he's just aggressive. He's kind of a bully. He's a speed demon, right? He's so aggressive on the tackle. Yes, can be reckless at times. We saw that in the free kick that he gave away in the second half. But that recovery speed, man, you don't teach that. You don't teach athleticism. So might be a card that Vanny pulls up his sleeve. Who knows?
Well, we spoke about a 3-man backline, and Vancouver is famous for theirs. Vanni Sartini says that they are the only team in the world that plays a true 3-man backline. So yeah, they will most likely be in their 3-5-2. They have changed it to a 3-1-4-2 on occasion. But mostly it's that 3-5-2. I mean, you're mostly getting the same lineup that you're seeing here on the screen. We did mention a couple times that Brian White is not starting. Edgar Nags in chat did call out Fafa Picot, who he did mention that got hurt in the last match against Vancouver very early, and he's right. He's the team Vancouver's way better with him in the lineup than without. Yeah. So that's another look to Vancouver that the Galaxy didn't really get to see last time because he got injured early. But whether it's Fafa or whether it's Brian White, like, they have a very dangerous attack, especially because they have that man Ryan Gall. But Ananda, you have some stats to bring up to help inform people on which way they can get their predictions going, huh?
Yep. So let me pull that up. If I can get this, there we go. Yeah. So some couple interesting things that I thought, Rob, they're kind of highlighted in red. So these are the stats that I always pull up. But on the Vancouver side, again, this is going to be another one of those games, Rob, where we're going to be ball dominant, and Vancouver is happy to relinquish possession. They're 21st in the league, average possession at 47.2%. And we know that the Galaxy like possession. We're, I believe, third in that. It doesn't show in that chart, but we are third in the league. Even the last game, Rob, they played against Houston Dynamo. You see, they're the number 1 team possession in the league, right? But they were happy to relinquish possession, and they got a decent result out of it. So expect that type of game again. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Galaxy sort of counteract that, especially at home. The other thing is XG conceded, Rob. They are a very, very solid defensive team. They don't give up many chances, and I'll talk about a little bit about that. There's another stat that points to that as well. But here, they're 7th best in the league, 37.1 XG conceded all year, which is really, really good. Fantastic. That's just a little over 1 XG conceded per game, right? Because we played about 29, 30 games or so. The one stat I thought was a little interesting, Rob. So saves per match. So Takaoka, and I don't know if the backup goalies played this year, but basically their goalies have averaged only 2.5 saves per match. That is dead last in the league. And I'm like, oh, that's a little interesting. Galaxy, McCarthy's had a phenomenal year. He averages 4 saves per match. But let me sort of drill down on that a little bit. I did a little digging, right?
Not giving up shots, huh?
And so, exactly. So Takaoka, I said, well, is that because Takao is a bad keeper? Well, no. If you look at his post-shot XG numbers, he's actually top 8 in MLS at a plus 2.8 post-shot XG, which is really, really solid. But here's the thing. Vancouver leads the MLS with only conceding 3.64 shots on target per 90, while the Galaxy, conversely, concede the 5th most shots on target per 90 at 5.23. That's almost 2 shots on target more, which means if you have less shots on target, the less saves the keeper has to make, because they don't concede a lot of attempts, right? They don't concede a lot of attempts. And this is the thing, right? And just another stat to kind of, put that or show sort of the accuracy of that. We concede the most shots in MLS, Rob, at 15.7 shots per match. Vancouver is 5th at MLS in conceding 4 less shots a game at 11.57. So this is the name of the game. This is what I'm talking about too, with like getting into basketball matches or track meets with certain oppositions. Vancouver, they can be pragmatic, but that's their style of play. Like, they're very, very good at that, and they don't concede a lot of chances. The Galaxy, on the other hand, we concede the most shots on target per 90 in MLS. So that's the big difference right there. So it's going to be interesting to see like which will win out. How can we manage that? How can we sort of counteract that trend, right? Because that's going to be one to watch for sure. Because like you said, they got Ryan Gall, they've got Brian White now off the bench, they've got Pico, they've got some weapons, man. So we got to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Gall, ranked number 1 in big chances created. Brian White 13-2 on the season, and sorry, Gall has 9-13. Fafa Bicol has 9-5, and I mean they're getting some production from some of the role players too, like Ryan Raposo has 3-4, right? So that's 7 goal contributions right there. For a player that's considered a role player. So they have their weapons and they can hurt you on offense, and they're certainly more than capable on defense and can keep you out. So, I mean, this is another one of those matches that you go into and you go, I feel kind of uneasy about this one. It is at home. The Galaxy have not been beaten at home all year. They haven't lost 2 in a row all year. But those trap games, when we get that feeling, it's not for nothing. And you just brought up some stats that kind of are taking me there. Chat, start dropping in those game predictions. We want to hear what you think. Yes.
But Robert, remember that we have not lost 2 games in a row all season. And you talked about it before. That's one of Maya Yoshida's sort of proud achievements, and that good teams don't lose 2 in a row. So again, recency bias. We just lost. We just had a bad loss, but we are at home, and the Digs has been a fortress this year. And like I said, when we play at home, our sort of passing sequences, our one-touch passing, our tiki-taka sequences, our build-up is much, much better and much more fluid. So from that perspective, I feel comfortable at home. The only thing is we just got to make sure that we, counteract or countermeasure their threat on the transition, and we've just got to be organized and positionally sound, I think. So yeah, man, should be an interesting game for sure. But you've been asking all the questions. I'm going to ask you one more. Robert, for the LA Galaxy to win, they need to what? Give me one thing.
Jugar con orgullo en la camiseta. Play with pride in the shirt. You're in front of your fans. Your second to last home match. Central American Heritage Night. Yeah. You got pups at the pitch happening. You got some of your cutest fans out there on the berm cheering you on and barking you on. Just play with some pride in the shirt. Show who you are, who you want to be, and you have the weapons to win. You have the defensive weapons to shut any team down. You've proven it. Just go out there and do what Greg has prepared you for, execute, and be the team that we've seen you be. And that's simply all that needs to happen. I mean, we've seen them be a team that can dominate any team in this league, can go toe-to-toe with any team in this league. Now just go out and do it. Execute.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I mean, simply put, too, I would say that we just need to be this year's, the 2024 home version of the LA Galaxy, which we've been a very, very good team. And that's it, man. I mean, and that's, everything from the game plan, how we execute, like you said, suda por la camiseta, right? Pride, that all has part to do, like all of that stuff, all those variables have something to do with the home version of the 2024 LA Galaxy. And that's it, man. They just need to be themselves at home. That's all they got to do.
All right, so we are getting some game predictions in there, but before we give ours, go ahead and hit us up with some betting odds prepared by Dr. Raquinho.
Yeah, so actually I forgot to take out that top part, but look at the bottom part there on the odds for Vancouver. So that's 54% odds for LA at home. That's minus 118. Vancouver plus 300 at 25%. That's not terrible, Rob. 25% is not too bad. But again, we are the home team. The bookies, of course, are expecting LA Galaxy, the number 1 seed in the West, to win at home. But again, this is not going to be an easy game. But if you look at our home record, and like I said, the 2024 home version of this team, we're a darn good team, and we are very, very tough to beat. So I'm hoping that streak continues. But let's see if chat thinks that streak will continue as well, Rob. Some of these predictions. So the one and only Rocio. Yep, one and only Rocio says Galaxy win 1-0. Comets, Big Matthew 2-0. Shout out Primo. GCam 2-1 Galaxy. Dayon and JP goals. I would love a JP goal as well. Romiza says 3-1 Galaxy. They need to focus and not take it lightly. I think Alex Ruiz talked about or asked Greg if it was a reality check post match. I think even though he didn't think it was, but I think it was a little bit of a reality check, if you asked me. And I don't think they're going to take it lightly, RUIZ, that's for sure. Yeah. So match said let's see, Tony Toscano 3-2 Galaxy. So Mike Gray says, love this pod. That's my prediction. Here. So Robert, I think I went last time.
Shout out to no way.
I
Come on.
went last time.
Chat, you're here. Chat, you are here. Fact check us on this one. I definitely know that Ananda did not. I definitely remember that Ananda did not. Who went first last time? Was it me? Was it you?
No, it was you.
No, I went first last time.
No, no. I went first, but it doesn't matter. I'll go first either way. I'm pretty confident in this one, so I'm going to go actually 3-1 Galaxy. The thing is though, it's going to be a close game, and I feel like we're going to pull it out late. So it's going to be sort of touch and go. It's going to be real nervy. They might even score first, Rob. But like I said, I think they want to right the wrong. They want to not lose 2 games in a row. They want to tap into that pride that you're talking about, Robert. And I think just game plan wise, like, look, this is going to be a tough game because Vanni Sartini teams are very well drilled. They have a very interesting formation. They cause a lot of headaches to people. But I think one of the things that I remember from the last game against Vancouver that worked really well was that combination between Pooj and JP, especially on that right-hand side, because JP was playing on the right last time. I think the threat of JP and Gabriel Peck behind in the counter, because in the 3-back formation, the space is always between the center back, the outside center back, and the wing back. We have to exploit those half spaces in the wings, Robert, when we get that ball and find that sort of that breaking the lines pass through to our wingers. And I think that's going to open up a lot of opportunities. And I think as the game progresses and as they tire over the 70 minutes, past 60, 70 minutes, I think that's when we're going to get 2 of our goals and blow this game wide open. And hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers that we stay defensively astute enough and not give up any cheap goals in the first 45 to 60 minutes. And I think we'll be in a good position. So yeah, 3-1 for me.
That's key. Not giving up any cheap goals, not shooting themselves in the foot, not giving up an early goal and having to crawl back. Yeah, all key for what they need to do to have success in this one. Yeah, I'm calling a 2-1. I would like for them to get the shutout, but I just don't think the defense is there yet. But I'd rather them getting it figured out now than in the playoffs. So 2-1 for me. We have chat shouting out their favorite what are these Pokemons?
Yeah.
Snorlax, Venonat, Butterfree. I'm
gonna be Snorlax in about 10 minutes here. I'm just exhausted today.
Yeah, but Butterfree sounds like my new favorite ice cream flavor. Ooh, give me some of that Butterfree. Anyway, yeah. So chat is popping off. Thank you once again. Comments is up in there. Earlier we had El Presi from Lars, and like we mentioned, those 2 gentlemen will be here on the 26th, nice. Thursday the 26th. Before we wrap up, I suppose, I got to tell you guys, to hit up our YouTube channel. If you're here, it's because you found us at youtube.com/@LacunaGalaxiana. Like Ananda let you know at the top of the show, you can help out this humble little show if you want at buymeacoffee.com/@LacunaGalaxiana. Coming up, after Vancouver, the Galaxy is back on the road against Colorado. Another midweek game on Wednesday, October 2nd. That's going to be another difficult one. Colorado's another good team. They're sneaking in to the top half of the table right there. So this one's going to be another tough one. 6:30 p.m. on Wednesday, October 2nd. And then, like we mentioned, that Vancouver match is the second to last home game of the year, so go ahead and make it a good one, guys. And the next show that's coming up is, of course, going to be that Vancouver reaction and Colorado preview pod. So go ahead and stick with us on a Monday night as we go ahead and again and all that. That's Monday, September 23rd, 26th. We have your presence from Comets and Lars. And man, I think that kind of wraps us up. Ananda, anything else to add before we get on out of here?
Oh man, let's move on from this one. Let's get another 3 points and keep cementing that first spot in the West, man. I think as we've seen this season, home field advantage is super important for this team. We need it. Let's get another 3 points on Saturday. Let's go. Vamos.
Yeah, let's move. I think the players would agree with you. They kind of want to see the tail end of this one and just move on and get back home and get 3 points in front of their home fans. Before we get out of here, I want to say thank you once again to everyone for hanging out with us and for always supporting this podcast like you do. We love you for it. Thank you so much for helping us get to those 300 subs. I think right now and on it's 304, and man, we can't do it without you, and thank you so much for being here with us. And we did mention the buy me a coffee. Some of you guys are already donating out there, and we wanted to say thank you so much for the love you've shown us. Yeah, I mean, it's just massive. And you're massive out there, Galaxy fans. Make yourselves massive at the game on Saturday as your LA Galaxy take on Vancouver, and then just a couple days later they take on Colorado on the road. From your two hosts here at La Cuna Galaxiana, we want to say thank you, and we're gone. One thing left to say. G